Aloha and welcome to the Path of Me podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and I wanted to create a sacred space for soul to soul conversations with people sharing their light through their passion, power, and purpose. Thank you all so much for being here. Let me introduce my next amazing podcast guest. Hey everyone, welcome to the Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and I have the lovely Jenn Baljko with me today. She is a woman of so many talents, an author, a writer, a mentor, a guide for a lot of us, and also someone who has completed this incredible trek, Bangkok to Barcelona. It's your 6-year anniversary of it, and huge international launch for the documentary. So congratulations and welcome, Jenn.
Thank you, Wendy. It's always nice being in your company. Thank
How do you feel having this incredible anniversary? 6 years since you took those final steps with your partner, Luis,
you. Yeah.
walking back into Barcelona after such a major undertaking. What does that feel like for you?
Well, it was 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago that we finished on June 29th. And it was one of the hottest days on recorded history for June, which just curiously, it's also, again, one of the hottest recorded days in June when we celebrated it a couple of days ago. And it was weird because it's like the weather is exactly the same. Right? Like it was
Yeah.
hot and sweaty and
And you're
like
carrying these massive, how
big.
much weight is on your back?
Normally it was around 25 kilos, especially in the summer. So that was like, I don't know, was that 44 pounds or something like
That's a
that? 40
lot of weight.
pounds. And it was a lot of water. In the moments that we walked back into Barcelona, we had we had dropped we had we weren't very far away from Luis's parents' house. So in one of the weeks, we like came down for a quick weekend, emptied a lot of our backpacks so that we could finish the last 2 weeks with really just what we needed. So
Just
on that exact,
streamlined. Good.
yeah, and it was summer, so we could travel a little bit lighter, and we knew we were going to have water fountains in every town, so we didn't have to carry as much water at that time. So in that moment, I don't know how much I was carrying, but it was so exhilarating and so exciting and so exhausting. And then we didn't finish. Like we had a party at the end, and then we had to walk, a couple more kilometers to
You still had to get home,
right. We
right?
still had to get
To
home,
lay your head down
and we
somewhere.
were carrying like not
Oh
just our
God.
backpacks, but we had
Gifts and
pictures made
banners.
to put around, and we were carrying like picture frames walking through Barcelona
Oh
on
my gosh.
like
Oh my gosh.
like vagabonds, like total
Oh
vagabonds. And
my
it was
God.
really funny because we kept saying, like, we just had this big party and we're not done yet. We still have like 3 kilometers to go, like another 45 minutes
Oh
walk.
my God.
And we
But
could have
I
taken
think
the
I
train and
think
we could have
that
taken a bus, but we chose not to, right? So
right,
because in
right.
the spirit of the walk, and yeah, I think that's so looking back on this, it doesn't feel like 6 years. It feels like yesterday. It feels like in the time bending of life, right? It doesn't feel far away. And next year will mark the 10th anniversary of starting the walk, which even like it should feel more distant from that. But I can remember the first day of walking out of Thailand and Bangkok, and that was really hot too. Like our start and our finish are marked with like really big fire warmth and heat and energy. But it's really like all the steps in between that mattered the most though, right? It's the kindness, it's the message that still resonates on so many levels, that people are generally good, good, yeah, are good, and they want to help you most of the time.
Well, I feel like you went in with that kind of receptivity and that attitude as well. Like we are going to find greatness in humanity as we journey on, and we're going to
Mhm.
feel loved and supported on this journey. And I think our intention really sets the tone and energy for what we create and invite in, right? So I think if you had had a different mindset and maybe been fearful or this or that, your experience might have been very different, but you were so intentional about inviting that in.
And it wasn't every day. It wasn't easy to hold that, right?
Right.
It's physically the hardest thing I've ever done by far. And it will be probably the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my, for all of my life, right? Because
Yeah.
the slow walking of land is slow walking land. It didn't matter if I wanted to quicken the pace. I couldn't. I mean, there was a physical limitation of
There's a
how.
cadence to it, I'd imagine, you
Yeah,
know?
and you fall into a cadence, and it becomes, and then in those really inspired moments, it's like, okay, I'm carrying the light from the past town. All the towns that I walk through, it's coming with me, and it's kind of laying on top of ley lines almost, like an
Absolutely.
energy, or like
Absolutely.
out the cable wires to the last, and
Yeah.
bring it forward to the next one. So in the highest and most intentional moments, it felt that way. But in the lowest moments, it was, get me out of this situation, like, get me
Right.
out of here.
Right.
And why am I torturing myself like this? Because sometimes it really did feel like torture. You don't,
I mean,
yeah.
there's such an intense physicality to it, right? And even with all this distance and all the growth that you've experienced as a result of that journey, and then from that point to this, right? There's something about going through adversity and experience physically that really tests us and really shows us what we're made of and who we are at the core of our being.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, as you've had time to reflect, and I know you did a lot of presenting because the documentaries kind of went to a film festival and kind of took it a
Yeah,
life of its own on, which it's
did.
just been so phenomenal to witness your journey with it. And I'm so proud of you and just so honored that we're friends, and I could say,
Yeah,
well, I know this person who did this. Like I can live a little vicariously through you. But what is something that has been a big takeaway from you now that you've had some space from it and you've told the story so many times?
yeah.
Who did you become as a person because of that experience, that chosen experience?
Wow, it's a really good question, Wendy. Who have I become as a result of that? I've become who I am, right? I guess
Yeah.
that's the answer. I guess that's the answer. And it was it was waiting for me to do, because all the things that happened after it, right? Like right after we finished, a few months after we were in lockdown with the pandemic, I completely changed course. I lost a career that I had for 30 years, like by choice and
Mhm.
also by circumstance. Like things had just I couldn't go back to being a freelance journalist anymore, right? It was, the earth was too important to me to write the stories that I was being asked to write that weren't in integrity or in alignment with what I know to be true now or at that moment. So as I was unpeeling that career, we went into lockdown and I was kind of forced to step into a different direction. It's really curious. I had a tarot card reading in 2021. And in the recent weeks, there's been something going on in my head about scarcity and sufficiency. And I'm reading Lynn Twist books, the Soul of Money, right?
Mhm.
But there was something in this tarot reading from like 2021 that was by Jane International. And I said, I gotta go find this video because there's something in there that I need to remember that she said. And it was, these next few years are going to be a lot of experimentation for you, but you're channeling it and it's all going to work out in the end. But it's going to be, try this and go try this and go try this and go try this and try that. And when you're at the point of giving it up, try it again.
I
And I
love that
heard those
advice.
words,
I
and
love
it
that
was
advice.
so weird to hear this 4 years later. I listened to it just a couple weeks ago. Within the last 2 weeks, I went and like dug out all my
You
old
found
videos.
it? You
I
found
found
it?
it. I found that part. And I
Wow.
was like, wow, this is really what has happened in the interim between finishing the walk in today, where I'm still becoming, and I'm quite in the messy goo of becoming something else or becoming more of who I am now. But it's been like, right, I'm gonna try mentoring, I'm gonna try these creativity jams and these global world summits, and I'm gonna lead people through book writing, and then I'm gonna
It's
write
been
a book.
amazing to watch you and be a participant as well in a lot of your endeavors and projects. And you are such an incredible, inspiring leader when you are such a great connector. So you bring a lot of us together in community. And I love that. And I love your creative cahoots jams,
Thank you.
okay, what I love about it. So every month, Jen does these 2 hour creativity
Yeah,
jams where you can just show up and work quietly.
yeah,
And there is something beautiful about a sisterhood coming together in silence, and we are all working, but we're together, you
yeah.
know? And there's something so, I don't know what the magic is. Maybe it's you, because you're the common thread here, but there's something really comforting about it. And I can't wait to get back to it. I had to miss the last couple, but um it's just a kind of a period of discovery. It's eternal discovery, isn't it?
It is. I think that's why I like it. I mean, it's just the free and creative cahoots on the third Thursday of the month, except in August. I take a little break in August. But
Mhm.
it is just come together, we move a little, we meditate a little, and
There's music.
yeah, and then like music
I love
floats
it.
in and we take a little break and then we stretch but there's something like so revitalizing for me too on that. Like it and because I'm holding the space, but I'm not guiding anything
Right,
really, right?
right,
And
right.
it is just this um thing,
There's a beautiful synergy,
yeah,
and I'm really grateful for it. I really look forward to it every month, and
yeah,
I'm excited to see what is created next for you.
yeah,
I
me
know
too.
you've been in this real period of silence, and it's very uncomfortable for you to be in that space. We've talked about it
Very
so
good.
much because we're friends and we chat.
Mhm.
But what have you learned from embracing the silence? You've been so prolific. You published 2 books. You did a
Yeah.
global summit. You relaunched your
Yeah.
documentary. I mean, from the outside looking in, you have just been all systems go quite a bit. And
Mhm.
now you have been very much guided to be very much present in silence. And I can only imagine how uncomfortable that might be.
Oh, it's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And too, like we've talked about it, but it's really some of this discomfort is because of you, Wendy, in the best way possible that I'm through that.
Uh-oh.
Like some of the ascension and energy work we did, right? Like there was that
Mhm.
call we did where you said you could lay down your sword and somebody will pick it up. And I had falsely pretended that I had laid down the sword
Yeah, you're like,
magically.
I'll kind of lay it down.
I'll lay it down over here, but I know where it is. But when you and I were working, I really felt a huge distancing from that sword. Like, I don't know where it is now. And it's been so strange to not think that I have to battle through life
Mhm.
now. And so I'm still learning what that means. This is like it's been like 6 or 7 months, I think, since we did that. But it's been like a new gift has been given to me that I don't know how to use. And it's like these orbs of lightning in my hands.
Mm.
And I don't know yet if I'm supposed to harness that or throw it. Or, like
I
I
mean,
haven't been given the insight yet of what
the
that
instruction
means.
set didn't download yet, but
Oh,
what's important is that you become familiar with the energy, right?
yeah, yeah.
You'll start to organically work with the energy and know how to manipulate it and use it because it is energy alchemy when you are working in frequency, right? It's not just one thing, it's not just
No,
one purpose. So it's really about sitting with it and just being okay sitting with it and getting to know it and becoming familiar
yeah.
with your frequency and your power. And what that looks like. I think for so many, people misinterpret power for noise, for volume, for
Yeah.
achievement, conquest. But there is a very deep and resonant well of power within us in stillness, in silence,
Yeah.
in the core of your being. And that's when we learn to harness that and bring that forth and birth creation from that place, it's really going to be magical, right?
Yeah, and I keep every time I just like these last few months, 'cause I'm very have ideas all the time. And I've always thought, oh, all my ideas are the best ideas. I'm just gonna go implement that, right? And now I'm like, what's after that brilliant first idea? And what I'm noticing is like I'll try to move something forward and I get well, you could do that. It's not gonna matter in 6 months. Or you could do that, and that's not really
Mm.
gonna big
Right.
impact. Like it's not gonna have the impact you want, but you could do it, right? It doesn't feel like the choice has been taken away, but it feels like the fizzle of the idea or the energy that is needed to bring it to fruition doesn't. I have a lot of half finished things on my desktop right now, and it's kind of like, do I do that or do I not do it? And the image that I keep sort of getting is one moment I'm flowing on my summer swimming tube down the river of life, just
Yeah.
playful and having a good time. And then in one other moment, I'm trying to be Superman and lift the river and redirect it the direction I want. And it's this very
I love
strange
that
duality.
visual. I love
Yeah,
that
and you can
visual.
see it, right? Like
I
I
think
sometimes
one
I'm
of the
gonna
things
not
that
just push the river, I'm gonna completely lift it up and its entire course.
one of the things I think that is has really guided me, a phrase that has really kept me in check is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, yeah, you've
Because I
shared.
have a lot of great ideas also that I could pick up and run with. And I have to be so discerning because my energy is so sacred, right? What is really aligned and what direction is really calling to me? And there's a knowing deep down, and I feel like you have it also, that there is something really powerful coming, something really powerful we're going to create.
Yes, yes,
And it's going to be very impactful and helpful to humanity or the people we are meant to serve, right?
yeah, yeah,
And part of the process that is the most challenging is allowing all the chess pieces on the board to be positioned and put in place while we sit back and wait and observe.
yes.
Because to go in too soon, that if you have one piece that's not set and ready to activate the whole chain and series of events, it's not going to work, right?
No,
And so it is frustrating, though, to be waiting in silence. I found myself being a lot more forgiving about my lack of productivity
yeah,
because when it is time, the book is going to be impactful, or whatever you're creating is going to be impactful. And time really doesn't exist. So,
I know it doesn't. I know
so
it doesn't, but it still does, right? Like it
I
does
mean,
and
it
it
does
does.
and it doesn't, right? Because we've collapsed linear time because we're holding higher light. Our experience here, our planet is vibrating at a much faster rate of spin,
Yeah,
right? We've raised the consciousness, we've raised the energies by holding and anchoring higher light, both of us and many, many around the globe who do this sacred work, right? And as it amplifies and accelerates, linear time and density, like it just collapses. So everything kind of becomes in this now moment.
yeah,
And so we need to be also very mindful of our thoughts because you think it and boom, you're doing it or
yeah.
creating it, or there's no in between planning. It's
I
like it
know.
just happens. So we have to be so clear, right, about what we're inviting.
And it's not easy to clear that out, right? And the I don't, it's not easy to clear out. And I'm catching myself in it. Like, what is this? Why is this thought back again? Like, why am I looping in this? And
Mhm.
why is it here again? And then it's just agency is like my summer
Yeah,
word.
tell me a little bit about, we've talked about agency. Tell me
Yeah.
what it means for you and how it's presenting in your life.
Wow. And it's strange because I don't know for sure yet, but what it's coming to me as in this moments of righteous rage that I'm sort of having is like in direct conflict with the way that I want to have agency. And it is like it's become a test for me to notice like you are not an agency when you are enraged. Like that is not a frequency that is used standing in agency. And what agency used to mean to me was more like, I know how to set my limits. I know how to set my responsibilities. I am showing up to be responsible and do
Mhm.
my
Your
charge
duty.
mountaintop thing, right? Like
Yeah,
that was agency for me before, and I felt good in that space. What agency is now becoming, it's sort of the quiet way I stand in myself and radiate that without having to say anything.
I love it.
Right? Like, I don't need to say anything. I don't need to do anything. I'm
Right.
simply standing in the maybe the stillness or the dynamic stillness of myself. And, it's when I can feel my shoulders rolling back. It's
Mhm.
when I know that it doesn't matter that I'm not productive today because the message I keep getting is wait, it's not July yet. Okay, it's July right now in this moment. But these last few months, it's been so I don't know what's coming, Wendy, in July, but it keeps saying like you don't even know yet. Like you can't. That's why everything is like you could do it. It's not going to matter. You could do it. It's not going to
Yeah, because
matter,
when the thing hits, then it's going to hit and you'll know,
and it's going to
and
be.
it'll just open it, all the doors will open and you'll just
That's
walk
right.
through, right? So they're like, you can take this side quest, you can take this side path and keep yourself busy.
Yeah,
You can just sit in the power of your being and let it come. And I can relate to that so powerfully because I'm doing exactly the same thing. And one thing I've really learned about myself this year is to come, and it took me years to unravel this program
mm,
of accomplishment and achievement. Okay. It's just an Asian program
mhm,
that is in my DNA. Like it is just mapped and seared, like branded into my makeup, you know?
yeah,
And so one thing that I've really, really mastered, which took 4 years, decades, was the power of stillness and not defaulting to a negative self-talk about doing nothing.
yeah,
Because there are days when I don't check boxes, right? Where I have a lot of time floating in the pool or daydreaming out the window. And I would just berate myself for that, like not give myself grace around that. But I've learned that it's such an integral part of me harnessing this 0 point and this creation, tapping into this creative field of energy that is me. And this is a very powerful place for me, actually, and for you too, where we're just literally tapping in
yeah,
and really listening and really feeling and really knowing. And from that great big idea is going to be birthed, and then we will be unstoppable when it's time, right?
right.
But that mental shift into acceptance and honoring of the space has been really huge for me.
I know. And I think it's not just an Asian thing. I think it's a generational thing, and
Maybe,
I think some of this was like, we were given opportunities that our mothers and grandmothers didn't have. And the way that like independence and freedom
right,
was economic freedom, right? And the only way you could have economic freedom was to chase the next thing
right.
compete with the men and boys in the way that they
Mhm.
competed
Mhm.
so that you can rise a ladder or get a certain salary or have a certain quality of life. And
Yeah.
but still that like isn't enough. It's like not still enough. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
there's always that chasing element,
isn't
right? Of just never getting there. And
I'm
so
never
this
getting
is
there.
a huge shift
Yeah,
to be able to really embody our power, not
yeah,
because we are doing, but because we are being
right.
the fullness of who we are and giving ourselves the grace and time to really dial into that lane that we're here to be in, to serve,
Hmm.
to honor others, to support the journey of others. I think we both have a very, very deep and resonant knowing that we have a call to purpose here.
Right. And I'm sort of like waiting, I'm waiting for the bat line to come up like, yes, Jen, we're dialing you up. So, go ahead and flash the bat symbol on the wall. It's a very like weird, like I don't know. It's funny because I think it's gonna be huge, but I also
Yes.
think it's gonna present itself as like micro actions, which
Yeah.
I'm adjusting to because I don't think it's going to be like the big billboard that says, Jen, hurry, come save the day.
Right.
Like you just had a meaningful conversation over here that impacted something that
Or
you
it's
don't,
going to be a connection made,
yeah,
or it's going to be
it's moving
this
sideways.
web and network that slowly
Right.
unfolds, and you're going to step back one day and be like, "Oh my gosh, this is it."
This is what it was
Totally.
about.
Yeah.
And just waiting for like I'm getting used to the idea that it's not going to be grand and glorious, but it's the same way that I'm thinking about agency. It's the quiet return to who I am without having to say anything, right? So that's all aligned in concept.
Well,
In
I honestly, I work with energy, and so that is your power center is to be so firmly rooted in the power of your being and hold that frequency for the planet because we are contributing to the collective consciousness with the frequencies we hold. And the higher we go, the more impact we're having on the collective.
yeah,
And so I just feel like there's been this false belief that value only comes through productivity.
right.
Because what I've understood is my frequency is my currency.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I just walk the earth holding my frequency and holding the highest light, that's enough. Thing I
It is
add to that is a bonus, right?
right.
In terms of fulfillment for me or service to others.
How do you know when you're in frequency? Like, what signs do
I
you get?
feel very well, I've spent years, right, being
Mhm.
very intentional about feeling my energetic body.
Mhm.
My biology, I check in every day. What do I feel? Are there any distortions I need to look at or clear? How does my energy feel? How does my consciousness feel? Am I
Mhm.
clear? Am I filling it? Am I filling it? Am I pouring garbage in? Or am I just randomly wasting my energy on things that don't matter? So I've been very intentional about curating my frequency and being intentional about holding, it's really more my holding my alignment.
Mhm.
Am I aligned right now in my body, my physical body, my consciousness, my thoughts, and my soul? Am I living true to the essence of who I am? Am I sharing messages to support others and that are in alignment, right? To help people stay in their alignment. So it's really a feeling and a knowing more than a marker or measurement. I check in all the time. And I'm very intentional about staying in my column of light because I used to want to chase all the shiny objects out there. I used to want to go for that job, or I used to want to chase that interview or be in that magazine or And then, they say don't chase the butterfly, allow the butterfly to come. And I embraced that. And that like really shifted everything, right? You become
Mhm.
the stillness and allow it all to come. And I know that when I'm really aligned, that I'm doing my most powerful work just by being. I don't know if that answered your question because it's not
No,
really tangible. It's
no, it's not tangible.
yeah.
It's not tangible. And it's curious, I did a couple of these character quality tests, right? Just to see. And of course they're self-guided. They're questions that you
Okay.
answer,
What did
right?
you learn?
Well, and they were similar. One was like the Clifton Strengths test, and the other is the VIA character test. But it's the things that obviously I'm naturally good at. I have a lot of ideas. I'm an activator. I have a love of learning. That was really high on both things, like this lifelong learner, life learning. Curiosity came in, and I replaced that word with wonder, right? Because
I
that's
love that.
wonder is the higher frequency
I
of
love that.
curiosity to me.
Yeah.
And then it was like, so then there was like, oh, I'm going to look down in the lower parts of the list and see
Okay.
like how I can develop those. Because if I'm already coming
Proficient in
forward,
this,
if
right?
I'm coming forward with these, maybe it's
Mhm.
these other ones that my human self needs to kind of finesse a little bit more so that it does become a more whole experience of my my expression, right? Because I think what I just want to be is a catalyst for joy and wonder. And that,
I
and I
think that's
am.
wonderful. Like, I think
Like
that's
that's all I
amazing.
want to be. Like, so
And
all these other labels that I'm
that's
giving
enough.
myself, mentor and writing coach and this and like these are just what I've noticed in these last few months is that need for me to label this is not becoming important, right? But then in the
Right.
human realm, like if I'm a catalyst for joy and wonder, how do I make a business out of that? Like that's like there's like a to
I can
me,
totally see that being a business because you can curate experiences to spark and activate people, which
right.
aligns perfectly with what your your skill set is.
That's it. I think I just have to, I think I
Curate
need to
those experiences because people
create those
need
experiences.
that in their lives.
And that's like, maybe that's what I am. I'm a master curator. And
Yeah.
all this other stuff that I value, like I want people to find their voice and go
Yeah.
through their pain and I want to facilitate that so that
Yeah.
they find it. And then I get off the hook with their stories, right? Because that's part of it. It's
Yeah.
like I get so hooked in and I can't wait for the next installment, the next chapter. And I get so hooked in, but it's not the best use of my energy either, right?
I think that knowing that is really powerful.
And I was just saying in another call recently, like, I don't know if it was a mem or I don't know if it came from Rumi. I don't know where it came from. There's like all this information coming
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time, right? So I don't
Yeah.
have good source credentials. I'm embarrassed to admit that as a former journalist. Like I don't know the source of this
I
information.
think it's okay not to. I give you a hall pass on it.
But it's like if you're waiting for clarity, take action. And the action gives you clarity. So what I was saying is like it feels like that game where you put the ball in the top and you have to kind of move it this way
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it feels like what I'm waiting for is the clarity of everything so that I know what action is happening, what outcome I'm going for. But this shift is like, no, you get a little bit of clarity, like, I want to be a catalyst for joy.
Right.
Okay, what's the next action to
Right.
do that? Okay, and
Yeah.
then that action begs for more clarity.
Literally,
What's the next?
as you go, you're writing the script, right?
That's
And
it.
so it's like as you step, the path appears. And that's the challenge because this is
Oh,
a new paradigm, right? And this is a different kind of paradigm where the story's not written because it's never been written.
no, it's never been
And
written.
it's never been written by you and your awesome sauce and your frequency.
Right,
And the way you're going to do things is going to be vastly different than someone else creating joy journeying through a different medium of maybe
right.
art or whatever that their thing is.
Whatever that's going to be.
So we've got a million architectural templates being written right now by all of us by just organically dialing in and following our inner knowing. And that's a roadmap that nobody's used to following 100%. It's uncomfortable.
And well, and it's been a confrontation, like one thing after another. And it's present, like I said before, with some weird things. But the other thing is there's like a there's a there's a book coming out published by somebody who is in a close circle that I'm in, and it uses words that I use often. And I really found myself like
Mm.
feeling betrayed, right?
I don't blame you for that.
I felt betrayed, and I immediately like kind of went out and asked about it, right? Because and like got into my head about like, and then I started to do my own research. I'm like, oh, these words that I use, somebody actually has a copyright on them from like 2012, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
And then somebody here in Europe is using similar words that they're going to trademark in Europe. And
Mm.
then somebody else on Instagram was doing this other thing. And I'm like, why am I thinking like
Yeah. What
I
do you think all that was about
concept?
for you? Like, I'm curious. What was
Well,
that?
because what it brought up is it's the same sort of image of sometimes I'm this easygoing sailing down the river, having a good time.
Mhm.
And the other times I want to be Superman and move and redirect the river. So the
Right.
concept that came is like I became very protective of
Mm.
something that I thought was mine.
Mm.
And then with just like 5 minutes of research, I realized, no, this is just one of the dandelion seeds that's going out in the world. And it's what you just said. The iteration of that is going to look like this over here, and another iteration of that. Even though they're the seeds from the same dandelion, they're not clones of each other,
Right.
and
I,
they're different. And it's okay if that concept goes in 100 directions, and then it goes in 100 more directions as a result of that, because then those seeds will plant somewhere else and those seeds go different. I'm like, isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, why am I holding on to this? I'm not going to sue
I
anybody,
mean,
you
this
know.
is a huge revelation for you, though.
It
You've
is.
had these really powerful
I know.
moments of unveiling and revelations, and it's
Most of them are coming like
yeah,
now very quickly, like in May and June. They're coming like,
yeah,
oh, is that
because you're
is
getting
that?
prepared. You're being
Yeah,
prepared.
because
That's why.
July is coming
Something's happening in July.
and I need more things
Yeah,
in July,
yeah,
like I need more
I get it.
information. But it was really powerful to see myself go through that.
Yeah, you're mastering yourself more and more, and the fact that you are becoming such an observer of yourself is actually accelerating this
Yeah.
incredible
So it's another
rise that
like,
you're
why don't you look
experiencing.
at this one? Go ahead and look at this one. I'm just like, oh,
Unrelenting growth.
yeah, unrelenting growth.
Unrelenting.
Oh,
I've been
goodness.
there so many times, you know.
Yeah, it's but it is.
Especially, I think the hardest thing for me is when you take that one last dance with that issue and you're just so mad. Like, I have been working on this for 5 years, you know? What the hell?
What the hell?
And you
Like,
take
what the
that one
hell?
last dance and you're like, oh my God, I handled that in such an elevated way. I think I've mastered that one, you know, or you feel it. Sometimes you just got to take that one last dance with it on the dance floor for that issue until you realize, wow, I feel like I really mastered that one. And I'm so proud of myself, you know, because
Well,
I could aim low and respond in such from a lower frequency in certain situations, but I always hold myself to the highest, you know, and I got to pat myself on the back sometimes. Like, good job, Wendy. Good
yeah.
job.
Well, good job, Wendy. Good job.
Thanks. Thanks. You too, Jen. I'm proud of you.
But it comes to this idea of the celebration, right? When we've talked about this before, like I used to think, even until recently, like celebrating your wins is such a weird idea or quirky or stupid, even. Like that's the word that wants to be said right now. Like, what a stupid idea. You celebrate your win. Like, of course I won. Like, I worked hard to get that gold star. Of course I
Yeah,
got
you're making me laugh so hard right now.
it. I'm ready to get the next one. Like, onwards, onwards to the
You
next.
are so like no nonsense. Like, yeah, I checked that box and now I've got 10 more to go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep
I've got other things to conquer and
That's the
quest.
warrior mindset, right? Like
It
you
is.
just keep cutting through the forest with that machete and that sword. You're just like, I'm just gonna keep
I'm just
going.
gonna keep going. And now I'm learning and I'm using the words like more frequently and not just saying it because it's like trendy to celebrate your win, but because I'm like, wow, I actually did this stuff. And
Yes.
now,
Yes.
like, I can be okay with just not having the outcome, right? Like, I can be okay
That's
with,
so huge. To
right.
be able to detach and just have the experience and
And
just
just
wow,
show up,
I grew as a person through that and I'm better for it and I was able to offer something.
right.
Um, I mean, just giving ourselves that grace and compassion and kindness around our victories and our triumphs, I think is such an important part of the whole thing, right? Because we don't have a lot of champions for us. We have
No.
to champion ourselves, you know?
Well, and this happened like in my own space, right? My dad is sometimes my biggest fan and sometimes my biggest like critic. And I said something to him the other day about, oh, it's the 6 year anniversary of finishing the walk and the
Yeah.
documentary. We finally have it out like on demand. It's been a whole
Yeah.
process in organizing this. And he's like, oh, that's such an old story. This is the same guy who walks around with my book in his car and
Oh
hands it
my,
out to like random people on the street, right?
oh my gosh.
But that's such an old story. Nobody cares about it anymore. I said, Dad, it's the best story.
It's the
It's a
epic
story.
story.
It's like my best story. And it's the
Yeah,
best story and it's epic and it's
it is.
about kindness and courage. And don't we need more of that story? If that's the old story, then I want to keep telling it forever.
Good for
Because,
you.
but it was really like I had to get my bearings on that a little bit because I'm like, yeah, it's an old story, but it's the
And
best.
I'm so proud of you for standing in your truth and pushing back on that because, you know, I love that he's a champion for you and carries that book around and tells your story. And but I think sometimes our parents are unconscious in how they relate to us. And it can take 2 seconds for them to diminish us with their word. And it takes you right back to when you were 5 and you just are like, what?
Well, that's
I'm a little outraged by it, you know?
I had a physical like
Respond.
talking about.
I love it. Well, I love that you stood in your power and like you said no.
But
And you know, it's
oh, you know what I'm going to do with that? Because then when he starts bringing up, oh, and this one and that one and this old story and this story, I'm going to say, well, Dad, that's an old story, but is it your best one? That's how I'm going to respond the
I
next
love it.
comes up
Are you
because
coming to the States this summer? You normally come visit your
I
sister
do usually
in
come in.
August. You're not
Yeah,
coming.
sure.
You know, I fantasize about coming and seeing you and having a trip, and I know I'm going to make that happen
It's
because
going
it's a
to
priority to spend time with you in
it's
person.
going to
That's
happen.
definitely a priority for me.
And one
But
day, either to your side of the world or you'll come to
oh,
me.
or we'll meet somewhere in between. It doesn't
It's
matter,
gonna
but I know
happen.
that we'll connect somewhere sometime soon. But I wanted to ask you to maybe share with our audience some of the things that have helped you navigate some of these difficult spaces that you've been really working through this year, you know, specifically.
Surprisingly working through. I didn't think I was going to be working through this.
Right. Right. It just happens, right?
It just happened and here it was on my doorstep. But I think there have been a few things that I fall back on sort of as my touchstones for a lot of things. And one of them is like what I call these little creativity intervals. Like I before I usually launch my computer or launch my work day, I just like I put on some song that I want to hear, or Spotify chooses it for me or whatever, like some random song. And then
Yeah.
I just add like a little bit of movement. And then sometimes I just doodle. Like I just get my hands sort of like into, or I
Love it.
splash paint on a page and get my fingers moving the paint
That.
around,
I
just
love
like so that I can clear my mind. And then in that moment, I usually take a couple minutes of meditation. And this is like a 5 minute practice. It's not even very
Yeah.
long, but it's like it's my practice because I can do it so quickly now because I do it that I pull out my crayons or my markers, like I'm already in the space of
Yeah.
like, okay, what's so here's my to-do list. And then the meditation is like, what is the thing that really matters now?
Yeah.
And let me prioritize that. And if that's going to take me all day to do, it's going to take me all day to do. And I get frustrated because it's also like, oh, I had all these other things to do, but this was the thing that was this was the thing I had to do
I love
today.
that you're honoring the guidance, but also how intentional you are every day about having that
Fine.
morning practice. I think any kind of ritual morning practice and touchstone and foundation for us is really important before we
Yeah.
start our day. So we start really fresh, really
Right.
aligned, really centered, and
Yeah.
then we are prepared to handle whatever the day brings. But before we go, I really want to talk
Oh,
quickly
thank
about your
you.
beautiful book, The
Thank
In-Between.
you.
For those of you who aren't familiar with it, first of all, Jen, it's Journeying from Fear to Courage. What
Mhm.
inspired you to write this story?
Well, it's from the walk. So the documentary that's out now, and you can find it on like curious.com and filmsforaction.org. Um, it's a continuation of that. The documentary is about the kindness, mostly the kindness we found along the way and some of the qualities we needed to walk what we walked. And then the book sort of became a companion to that in noticing that fear and courage aren't the same sides of a coin, that there's actually a lot of emotional terrain
Mm.
in there that you have to cross from when you have a fear to taking a heart-centered action that's courageous. And it was so I used, I don't know, 7 examples from the walk that tapped into these different emotional moments that I had, like very specific moments in a long 3.5 year trip where I knew I was going through that emotional terrain in a new way or exploring it. And then there's like a series of journaling prompts that
I know, I love the journaling prompts in here because it allows you to really interact with the text, you know? I love that you
thank you.
created that opportunity for people. And first of all, I just love your writing anyway.
Thank you.
But I really want to encourage people to buy this book. It's called The
You.
In-Between by Jenn Baljko, Journeying from Fear to Courage. And I think right now that's really needed at this time. And you just had your 1 year anniversary,
It
right,
is.
of
Yeah,
the
it's the 1 year
publishing of the
anniversary.
book. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. And just to mention that that is on Amazon and it's on Curious, CURIOS.com now as well.
Okay. Well, if you could
So
send me some of those links, I'd love
yeah,
to, for the
I'll send.
documentary for people to access,
Mhm.
and then the book. I'd love
Yeah,
that to
thank you.
include in the
Yeah,
show.
I think that's part of it. I think now the feeling for me is, and it's something I when I send out autographed copies of the book, I have this mailer that I send out now, and it's a dandelion flower with the seeds going out in lots of
Oh, I love that.
directions.
I love that.
So I, package the book and then I send it out because that is what I really want. I just want the message to get out and in the way
Yes.
that it's going to get out.
Isn't that what we all want for our book, right?
Yeah,
Especially when we're
me
here
too.
to be in
Congratulations
service.
on yours too. You
But
had a you had a big win recently on
I
yours
know,
too.
I know, one of my intentions in life was just to be surprised by the magic that shows up. And I got this email that said my book was selected to be
Amazing.
featured at the American Library Association conference in Philadelphia this past weekend. And it just felt like one of those victories, like you go along and you're just kind of you write a book and you might sell some copies, but it's not like this smashing success. And so these little moments of victory that
Yeah,
feel so beautiful and they're little surprises really really matter. They really
yeah.
matter to so
And
think
it's such a good win. Like it's a wholesome good win.
it's
Like
a good win. Yeah.
recognized by the Library Association. That
I
means your
felt
book might be
so
picked up.
it felt so good because there's thousands of books that this publisher
Yeah.
puts out. So the fact that mine was selected, I felt was an honor and a gift, you know.
Yeah.
And
I'm so happy
I'm
to
just
see that.
grateful because, like you, I just really want my book to go out and help people on their journey. That's why we
Which,
write, you know.
and you too, right? Like the path of me too, like in the podcast and this, like it is just all about that. And
It's
finding,
really about offering hope to people, some tools, some perspective. And I like being able to do that for free, to just share
yeah,
stories and perspective and wisdom of phenomenal people like you that come on, or artists or whatever. And really just it's just an offering, you know. I think I'm just gonna do me and just keep going, see where where this goes, where it leads, you know, do my best.
it's sitting right there. Like if I could reach
Aw,
across, it's somewhere over there. But it's just the offering of like
yeah,
let it go where it goes. And
exactly. But I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and thank you for being on
thank
the
you.
podcast. It's always such a gift to
Thank you.
spend time with you, whether it's doing a podcast or just catching up, you know. And I love that we had this opportunity for a little bit of both. So, Jen, thank you for the great work you do. Thank you for the frequency you hold here. And thank you for being committed to the journey of your own self-discovery, because as you raise your frequency, everyone rises with you.
Yeah.
So it's
Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me know that. Hold on. Do you get a little like love before you?
Oh, thank you. That deep and noble work that you're doing is really powerful. And to my audience, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always such a pleasure and honor for me to be here and connect with you all. So take care of yourselves, be kind to yourselves, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.